Lucario is an all-round character whose tools let you respond to any situation. His foremost attribute is his fundamentals, strong neutral game and great whiff punishes. He can teach you the basics of Pokken Tournament and its objectives, while rewarding you the better your fundamentals are. His primary strengths are his footsies, whiff punishes, anti-airs, anti-zoning, defense and an amazing matchup chart with virtually no bad matchups, making him a good main, secondary and an option for the 3v3 meta. He also has one of the strongest burst modes, which can be used to close out a round and is an amazing comeback factor with powerful mix-ups. At 150cc he gets his burst very often, making it a reliable powerhouse tool. On screen right now is an image for Pokken's notations. I recommend screenshotting and saving this image to refer back to it throughout this guide and to have it for future use. I will also leave a link in the description to the Pokken Basics series by Bad Intent, which will go through the basics of the game and the objective. It's definitely something I recommend checking out if you are new to Pokken. Neutral Y is a frame 15 -22 projectile. Being -22 doesn't really matter since you can press the button again to simply go into forward Y. You can also special cancel into Aura Sphere, Bone Rush, and Force Palm. Neutral Y on its own isn't very effective, but you can combine it with Aura Sphere to throw two projectiles at once. This can be CEDC'd and sidewalked, but if you mix up the timing of when to throw the Aura Sphere, level 1, level 2, or uncharged, you can mess up your opponent's CEDC time. Neutral Y to Force Palm does not usually combo. However, it will combo on critical hits, such as out of a homing cancel, which will do a good chunk of damage and award a lot of synergy. Forward Y is a frame 15 lunging move. It doesn't quite go from full screen, instead it's more mid-screen, and it is easier to react to when done further away than it is when done up close. It is also -10 on block, making it a safe move that you can throw out from up close. This move is best used after getting a phase shift with a wall splat in dual phase, since you can immediately throw out forward Y and potentially catch your opponent if they don't block immediately. Upon shifting the opponent, this move will set up for a hard knockdown, which will lead to a very clean Okizeme. This move is risky to go for in field against opponents that have fast sidewalks, since they can simply walk to the side and get a very easy whiff punish. Against characters with slower walk speeds, you can catch them for the hitbox being very deceptive. However, it is possible for your opponent to just counter this move on reaction, and because it's a mid-low, they can also just jump over it on reaction, so you do want to be careful using this in neutral. Side Y is a frame 19 projectile that has slightly less range than forward Y. Upon hitting, it will instantly shift the opponent but not give a hard knockdown. From a safe distance, this move is great, but it is -24 on block, making it unsafe point blank, and unsafe when done too close to the opponent. It will be safer when done from further away, but easier for the opponent to react to. Like before, this is counterable on reaction, but if done from further away, the counter might not reach. However, if the opponent has a fast CDC, they can simply lunge forward and grab you. And like forward Y, it is possible to jump over and punish. However, if done from far enough away or against characters with slower CDCs and grabs, it is possible to homing and homing cancel afterwards to make yourself safe. Back Y is a command counter that comes out on frame 23 and has armor from frame 1 to 16. It is -24 on block, making it a guaranteed punish when done point blank against the entire cast. However, when spaced, it will be safe against grabs. However, despite being minus 24, it will be safe against frame 19 lunges when spaced due to how far in the animation you are. This is good against opponents who are either mashing homing or who are trying to go for shield breaks. However, this is very easy to bait, so you do want to be careful about using it. Lucario's homing attack is frame 21 and is a 4 frame combo but only has 3 inputs. The first input is 0 on block, the second input is minus 4, and the last input is minus 8. Being 21 frames, it is on the slower side compared to most homing attacks, making it not so great for whiff punishing. You mostly just want to use it to poke at the opponent and try and confirm into the second hit so you can confirm then into the third and get a phase shift. Lucario's homing does have a weakness in the fact that it can't be perfect blocked. It cannot be grabbed or challenged by your opponent's homing out of a perfect block, since it will frame trap. The only thing that the opponent can do is counter attack. You can avoid the counter though by only going for the first hit. If you want to know how perfect blocking and homing cancelling work, I will leave links to videos in the description explaining them. If Lucario's homing is blocked, the final hit can be backdashed. The charged version can also be backdashed, which will get you punished. As a result, it's only recommended to use the charged version when your opponent can't backdash. JY is a frame 15 projectile that travels in a straight line the way you threw it. It will also keep your momentum a bit depending on which direction that you jump in. It's a good move for closing out rounds, but its main objective is to catch jumps from people who might try to jump over Aura Sphere. However, it is minus 24 on block, making it very punishable. Even if you do this out of grab range, because it travels in a straight line, it loses to sidewalking, making it very risky to go for in neutral. Even opponents with slower walk speeds but good whiff punish tools can snipe this move for free by sidewalking. As a result, this move is best used from further away when you can either react to a jump or predict one. You can also do it very low to the ground while jumping backwards to throw a very quick projectile, since it is faster than Aura Sphere and Neutral Y. JX is a frame 26 dive kick that will instantly shift the opponent if it hits, knocking them down, setting up for a very clean Okizeme. How far it travels depends on how high you jump. If you don't jump very high, it won't go very far at all. If you jump very high, it will go a fair distance, but it will be easier to react to. The best use for this move is to jump over and punish projectiles thrown from the ground. According to the frame data sheet, this move is minus 10 on block. However, in the Lucario Ditto, you can actually punish this with Bone Rush, implying it is at least minus 16. However, despite that, the Decidueye cannot punish it, nor can Blaziken, despite them both having frame 15 options. This is just due to the fact that their frame 15 punishes don't reach in time. Not even Aegislash's frame 11 will reach it. Meaning the only option that they have is to counter attack it on reaction, making it not a good idea to use in neutral. 5Y is a free input jab, and if you input a 4th hit you'll go. All hits including the first and second are special cancelable. The first hit is minus 4 on block, the second hit is minus 8, and the last one is also minus 4. If you land it, you're recommended to go into Force Palm after the second hit to get reduced PSP and lead to a better combo. If you hit a counter, you can special cancel into extreme speed to beat the opponent if they release the counter early. However, if they hold the counter down all the way, they can CTC out and get a massive punish. You can beat the counter if it's held down all the way by cancelling into Force Palm instead. However, this will lose if the opponent releases the counter early, creating a sort of 50-50 situation. Against command counters, however, you should always use extreme speed. Y and 6YY are frame 11 mid-lows that can throw crush, and is invincible against lows on frame 5. The first hit is -12, however if you go into the second hit you will crush the grab, making this a mix-up for most characters. However, Pikachu and the Lucario Ditto can true punish this with their frame 11 8As. The second hit is -16, so will be punished by a frame 15 no matter what. The second input of 6Y has a just frame input that will do extra damage if you delay it a little bit. If you don't delay it enough you will miss the just frame, and if you delay it too much your opponent will be able to block in time. The just frame version is -12, making it a not as rewarding but still guaranteed punish. On hit, 6YY will knock the opponent down for an Okizeme. This also allows for some very basic mix-ups. At the wall, 6YY will lead into an 8Y and a Bone Rush Slam. However, this may whiff on shorter characters, so you will have to micro walk forward to get the 8Y to confirm. 8Y is a frame 15 anti-air that is 0 on block. Being 0 on block means that you can beat out a lot of fast moves after your opponent blocks it. It is also invincible against highs and mid-highs on frame 5. Because it is 0 on block, it is very safe to throw out in neutral, which can make it very good for catching preemptive jumps. Because of this, it is also extremely difficult to whiff punish on reaction. The most consistent way to beat this is to hit Lucario with a low, like a 2Y or 2X when he goes high. One downside about this move, however, is that it does have a very narrow hitbox, meaning it can miss against a lot of jumping opponents. Another problem is that it will lose to projectile invulnerable dive kicks like Shadow Mewtwo's JX and Charizard's J6Y. While rare, 8Y can break grabs, and if it does, it will allow you to combo into 2Y and then Bone Rush. Two Y is Lucario's best moves in the neutral. It's fat, it's frame 11, making it very fast, only -4 on block, hit confirmable into Bone Rush on hit. It has long range, safe against counters, and allows Lucario to completely wall out his opponents in neutral and force overcommitments. However, spamming this move mindlessly is not how you use it. If you press the button twice in rapid succession, you will go into Bone Rush, which will get you punished. You are also still -4 on block, meaning your opponent can punish you if you mindlessly press the move without blocking. 2Y is mostly used to space your opponent out in the neutral and deny their approach while forcing an overcommitment. An example of an overcommitment is the fact that 2Y will lose to 8 X's due to the opponent going over them. However, you can space yourself back and make your opponent whiff it and then punish, an example of how to take advantage of an overcommitment that 2Y can provoke. Another way that 2Y can provoke an overcommitment is by making your opponent jump at you to get over it, which you can punish with an anti-air. 2Y can also combo into Bone Rush. However, because there is not a lot of hit stun, it may be a little difficult for you to recognise and hit confirm into this. One good tip that you can do is, as you press 2Y, notice your opponent's health bar. If you notice it go down, quickly input Bone Rush. 2Y into Force Palm does not combo, unless it is out of a critical hit. JY is a jumping kick that comes out on frame 9. However, you can delay to land with it or just throw it out immediately. On block, it is +4. Doing it very quickly can allow you to air an opponent. However, its main use is for jumping over projectiles. And for avoiding low hitboxes. X is a frame 19 launcher that is -8 on block. It is Lucario's most powerful and punishing combo starter. A guaranteed way to get 5X is with a JY, since this will always lead to a combo. Another way this can be used is as a whiff punish out of a whiffed lunge attack. Or as an Okizeme if you do not expect them to block on wake up. X is a frame 19 lunge that is -8 on block and special cancelable, meaning on hit you can go into Force Palm to get a hard knockdown. And it doesn't have quite as much range as Bone Rush, but is generally a more rewarding whiff punish due to the fact that you can get a hard knockdown and allowing for a Okizeme and mix-up. However, throwing it out in neutral can be dangerous if your opponent is looking for it, since they can get a whiff punish. Its main use is as a neutral tool if your opponent is not expecting it. It is also your most rewarding ranged whiff punisher if you can react. However, if you can't react, you can instead just stick to Bone Rush. It is also a great tool for catching backdashes. 6X has a charged version which will be fully charged and hitbox out on the 31st frame. Due to the charge time, it is easier for the opponent to react to it and get a whiff punish if they footsies back or you use it out of your opponent's range. Even if your opponent cannot dash back, it is a mid-low, therefore they can jump over it. The main advantage of Charge 6X is that it is +8 on block. This means out of an Okizeme you can get some pretty strong mix-ups. If 6x hits armor, it can actually special cancel into E-speed to beat the opponent if they release the counter early. However, the opponent can hold the counter down and CDC out for a big punish. You can beat your opponent that holds down counter all the way by using Force Palm. But this will lose if the opponent releases the counter early, which will be beaten by extreme speed. Against command counters, however, extreme speed should always be used. While it's not likely to hit, if charge 6x ever does hit, it will combo into a full charge Force Palm at the wall, doing massive damage. Mid-screen, it will set up for a triple Bone Rush loop. Apex is a frame 23 overhead style move that is -4 on block. It is invincible against lows on frame 5 and invincible against mid lows on frame 13. Its primary use is to go over 2Y and 2X's. However, 8x will lose to 8ys. If you are anticipating an 8y to counter your 8x, you can simply whiff punish it instead. Be careful about using it in neutral, however, because if your opponent's looking for it, they can find whiff punishes. If 8x hits, it will always combo into 6YY, which will set your opponent up for an Okizeme. At the wall, you can 6Y into a Force Palm. It is also a Throw Crush and will launch if it Dex grabs, leading to a double Bone Rush loop. X is a frame 15 low that is invincible against highs frame 1 and is -8. Despite being -8, this move has tremendous pushback that will make sure you don't always have to block after it hits block. Some characters do have long range moves that you will be forced to block, however. However, if you space 2x, it will be a bit safer. To the pushback, if your opponent attempts to challenge you but doesn't have enough range, you can ult punish them for attempting to do so. Similar to charge 6x, 2x will allow you to get a triple Bone Rush loop. However, the damage scaling will be massive and as a result the combo won't actually do a lot of damage. If you prefer then, you can go for extreme speed instead to knock your opponent down for an Okizeme. The damage scaling mostly comes off the fact that you can only combo 2x into 2y. As a result, at the wall, the scaling will almost always be removed. Another primary use is as a frame 15 punish for opponents who are in burst. Because it is immune to highs frame 1, you can use it to avoid certain jump ends. Or to avoid high hitboxes. GX's only difference is that it is now 0 on block and it does not push back. This move will combo into 5YY, allowing for a force palm Oki. At the wall, it is better to combo into 6YY. And if you get it low, it is possible to combo into 5X. "5A is Aura Sphere, which is Lucario's Fireball. It has 3 different variations depending on how long the button is held down for. Simply tapping the button once will give you level 1 Aura Sphere, which comes out on frame 19 but is minus 22 on block. It is also minus 12 on hit. As a result, you only want to use level 1 Aura Sphere when you are really far away from your opponent, since the projectile still travels relatively quickly and you can't be punished for it from full screen. 2 Aura Sphere is achieved by holding down the button a little while and then releasing it. Level 2 will have 2 hitboxes instead of 1, and it will roughly be charged and thrown on the 30th frame. Due to the time it takes to charge this, you could be hit as you begin charging it if your opponent just throws out a hitbox at you. Your opponent can also jump over the Aura Sphere. However, if you predict this, you can anti-air them with 8Y. Level 3 Aura Sphere is achieved by holding down the button and then releasing. The visual cue is for when Lucario opens his eyes, for when it will be fully charged and ready to be thrown on the 40th frame. It is similar to level 2 Aura Sphere. It is a multi-hit, but it travels slower and has a much more active hitbox, which can make it difficult to see through, especially since you can hold the button down longer and release these to throw your opponent off, or mix in level 1 or 2 Aura Spheres as well. Level 1 and 2 Aura Sphere will both lose to sidewalking in field phase, however level 3 Aura Sphere will track a lot better, making it more difficult to sidewalk, though it still can be done. 6A is Bone Rush, which is Lucario's signature lunge and with punish tool. It comes out very fast at frame 15 and covers very good distance. There are 3 different variations to Bone Rush. They all have the same startup at frame 15 but do different things on hit and on block. Neutral Bone Rush is achieved by simply tapping the button once, which will just lunge Lucario forward. On block, this is minus 16, making it a universal punish for the whole cast. Pressing the button again will give you Bone Rush Uppercut, Bone Rush Upswing, or Bone Rush Upper, whatever you prefer to call it. If you ever hit Bone Rush, this is the version that you'll want to go for, to push your opponent closer to the corner. On block, this is minus 12, making it a grab punish or frame 11 punish. If If you press Y after inputting Bone Rush, you'll get Bone Rush Slam, which will knock the opponent down if it ever hits. However, Bone Rush into Slam is not a combo and your opponent can actually block the follow-up hit. Block it is 0 on block and has considerable pushback, making it very safe. However, just because the Slam version is safe on block doesn't mean you can't be punished for it. During the gap, your opponent can actually counter attack and true hit you out of it. But also, if you think you're just going to be clever and do a neutral Bone Rush, the counter won't come out, but the opponent will still be able to punish you for it. The upswing will also have a gap which will get hit. This is the Bone Rush option select, meaning no matter what option of Bone Rush you pick, your opponent will be able to always punish you for it. As a result, using Bone Rush in neutral or when your opponent's blocking can be extremely risky unless you really think your opponent's not expecting it. As a result, Bone Rush's main use is for punishing lights or moves that you cannot punish with 6X. Bone Rush is also used for catching and skipping opponents that either jump or use a move that puts themselves in the air like 8X. In field phase, Bone Rush should be utilised with sidewalking to whiff punish any projectiles or whiffed moves that the opponent throws out to get an easy phase shift. Lastly, Bone Rush is one of the best anti-counter tools in the game thanks to its long-lasting lingering hitbox going through the vulnerable frames of most counter attacks. X+A is Extreme Speed, Lucario's Caban counter that has armor frame 1 and comes out on frame 11. The main use for Extreme Speed is for dealing with jumps of your opponent jumping in towards you. Extreme Speed is also recommended to be used in situations where 8Y won't be able to get anti-airs. It is also Lucario's best tool for dealing with cross-ups of opponents jumping over and behind him. It is also good for dealing with moves that are -12 but have a follow-up that will prevent a grab. Lastly, E-Speed can be used as a wake-up option against aggressive Okies. You do want to be careful with this, however, since Extreme Speed is -49 on block, meaning that your opponent can get their hardest punish that usually would not be possible. GAA is Jump Aura Sphere. It comes out at frame 21 and is -20 on block. As a result, you do not want to use this move in Footsie's range as you will be punished for it every time. From further away, however, it will be much safer. The primary use for this is to jump over your opponent's projectiles and through one of your own to keep your opponent at a distance. will also track in the air, which can make it a good anti-air zoning tool. To grounded Aurasphere, Jump Aurasphere can also be charged. It comes out at frame 45, making it Lucario's slowest projectile. It is -22 when done as low to the ground as possible. Rather niche than Lucario's other projectiles, it can delete things like Sceptile's traps while also zoning out the opponent from full screen. Like normal Jump Aurasphere, this is not a good idea to throw out from Footsie's range, as your opponent will be able to get a full punish off of it. They can also jump over it. But from far enough away, they might not be able to reach. The field phase version is not preferred because while it will actually track sidewalking opponents, it's much easier to simply counter it on reaction and for your opponent to get free synergy. You can also get punished for it pretty easily. However, from a distance this might not be guaranteed. Finally, it is a very good tool for stalling in the air to run out the timer and win by timeout. Lucario's counter attack is 35 frames, making it on the slower side and grabbable on reaction. It is also a mid-low, which means it can be jumped over easily. The charge version is 55 frames in total, making it very trivial to grab it on reaction. It is also still a mid-low. And in field phase it can be perfect blocked. The main benefit of Lucario's counter is that it can hit opponents in ranges that 2Y can't, making it have much more range with the drawback of it being much slower. If it is fully charged or crits a normal attack, it will combo into 2x and lead to a double Bone Rush loop. However, from further away, 2x will not combo due to it being too far away, and instead you'll have to go for Bone Rush. Force Palm is a standard attack that comes out on frame 23 and is -4 on block. The best use for Force Palm is as a combo ender to get an Oki on your opponent. Out of a 5Y or 6X, which will lead to a very basic mix-up. You can use Force Palm as an Oki, but because it is not special cancelable, it is much more committal and can get you punished. Force Palm can also be charged. When fully charged, it will come out on the 43rd frame and is -4 on block. If it hits, it will instantly shift the opponent, doing 200 damage. However, in neutral or as an Oki, full charge Force Palm does not pierce and cannot be cancelled, so it will just be countered on reaction. The only real use for charged Force Palm is as a combo ender for a charged 6x at the wall, or as a 5x for an easy but highly damaging combo. Lastly, in field phase, a whiffed Force Palm will actually build some meter, as you can see in the bottom left corner. This can be useful for at the start of the round to get synergy, or when your opponent is far away and you have no chance of getting whiff punished for this. This will help you get into burst, which is one of your main win conditions. Speaking of which, Lucario gets a few noticeable changes when he enters burst mode. The first is that his second hit of homing is now a rapid jab, which will do more damage and go through counter attacks more easily. It is still -4 on block. This exact same property extends to the second hit of Lucario's 5YY. Force Palm now has a secondary follow-up hit that you can input. It will always shift if it hits the opponent. However, it is minus 12 on block, making it not safe. Due to how 5YY and Force Palm have changed, if you ever land the first hit of 5Y, the optimal combo is to actually just auto-combo into the full hit. Like Force Palm, 5X now has a second input. The first input will not actually launch the opponent and will instead crumple, but the second hit will launch and set up with your standard bread and butter. Just like with the Force Palm follow-up, however, it is minus 12 on block, making it unsafe. A significant change is that Aura Sphere can now be jump cancelled by just pressing the jump button after it's thrown. In dual phase, this means that you can jump cancel an Aura Sphere into a GY, 5X into a Bone Rush Slam. But you can also reset the opponent to get a grab. If blocked, this allows you to get a plus 4 JY very close to the ground, which can allow you to go for a very basic mix. However, Aura Sphere is still minus 22, which means that your opponent can DP to get a true punish off this. Any opponent that has a frame 19 armored reversal can guarantee true punish this. In field phase, you can still do this by comboing it into a JY or a JA. You can combine neutral Y, Aura Sphere, and then either JY or JA to throw multiple projectiles at once. Level 3 Aura Sphere in both phases also turns into a laser. Immediately shift in dual phase if it hits. Extreme Speed also now has a second input that will immediately shift if it hits. You do not have to go for this input, however, if you want to keep your opponent in dual phase. On block, the first hit does not change and is still minus 49 on block. The second hit, however, is minus 24, which means you cannot get an as rewarding punish. This is not a block string, so make sure that if you block the first hit, you're ready to block the second. However, arguably the biggest change is that Lucario's 6X is now a true mid with a larger hitbox both vertically and horizontally. This means that it can reliably catch jumps, which will allow for triple Bone Rush loops. On block and on hit, you can cancel into the Aura Sphere jump. You can also just go straight into Force Palm if you want to keep your opponent in this phase, or go for the follow-up hit if you want to immediately shift them. From further away, however, these options might not combo. But for that, you've got Bone Rush. The charged version is still plus 8 on block. Lastly, it will just combo straight into Lucario's burst attack, which is frame 15 and will travel a very fair distance. The most terrifying thing about Lucario's burst though is that on block you are actually plus 4, which means that your opponent has to respect your option. This includes Grab, which without Burst in dual phase does 90 damage, but with Burst in dual it will do 165 damage, making it more powerful than even the Champ's standard Grab. This was part 1 of my Pokken Tournament Lucario guide. Part 2 will be out a week after this one, and it will be the more important guide focusing on Lucario's fundamentals and objectives, so I definitely recommend watching that too. Until then, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you in part 2. Bye bye.